Good afternoon all. Welcome to the lecture of functional analysis. In today's lecture, we are going to see the next point as an examples which are depending on the Hilbert spaces as an inner product. Okay. In the last lecture, we have seen that important theorem which tells us that how parallelogram law is important for a Banach space, for proving a Banach space to be a Hilbert space. That is, any norm, if it satisfies the parallelogram law, we have proved that it is going to be the Hilbert space, right? Now in today's lecture we will just go for the some simple examples. Is the screen clearly visible? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The first example we will look after here is if x and y are any two vectors, if x and y are any two vectors, in a Hilbert space H, then prove that. What to prove? The first point we want to prove is norm square of x plus y minus norm square of x minus y is equals to 4 times real part of inner product xy. Okay, point number B to prove is inner product xy is equal to a real part of inner product xy plus I times real part of inner product x with iy. Okay, let us prove. Example is very easy for the sake of proving the result. In the first part we want to prove actually that norm square of x plus y minus norm square of x minus y is equal to 4 times real part of inner product xy. Therefore, let me start with first finding the value of norm square of x plus y. Norm square of x plus y. Okay, how we should do this? This is inner product x plus y with x plus y, right? Inner product x plus y with x plus y. And by using linearity in first variable, conjugate linearity in second variable, we have many times proved that this is equal to inner product xx, inner product x with y, inner product y with x plus inner product y with y plus inner product y with y, right? One can write this as norm square of x plus norm square of y added with inner product y with x and inner product x with y and y with y. And this term I have written here. Okay, therefore this is my first equation, let me call. Similarly, we will find the value of that second norm square of x minus y. May I write directly this is as norm square of x plus norm square of y minus inner product y with x added with inner product x, minus inner product x with y. I'll just rub it. This is minus inner product x with y. Let me call it as statement number 2. Now what we want to do? We will here a subtraction, not adding. I am just adding actually. Now we will subtracting 2 from 1. Subtracting 2 from 1. What is the resultant if I subtract 2 from 1? These first two terms will cancel one another and this negative will become positive and this will be 2 times inner product, right? Therefore, we will have the left hand side as norm square of x plus y minus norm square of x minus y is equals to 2 times real inner product x with y added with 2 times inner product y with x, right? 2 times inner product x with y, y with x. But what the fact we know by using the conjugate symmetry? Inner product y with x is conjugate of inner product x with y. Therefore, shall I write here this? Okay. Therefore, here which property we have used? By using conjugate symmetry. By using conjugate symmetry. Right. Now, look at these two terms very carefully. This is one number added with its conjugate. Therefore, the number is of the type z plus z bar, no? But what we know the fact about z plus z bar? Let me take 2 common. This is inner product x with y added with inner product x with y conjugate. Okay, what is the value of z plus z bar? If I am writing say z is equal to A plus IB. Then what is Z plus Z bar? Yes, is it 2A? 2A means this is 2 times real part of the corresponding number. Therefore, shall I write here, this is 2 times real part of inner product xy. 2 times real part of inner product xy. Okay. This middle term is 2 times. Now 1, 2 I have forgotten. Z plus Z bar is 2A. Therefore, inner product xy plus inner product xy bar will be 2 times in real part of inner product xy, which is actually 4 times real part of inner product x with y. This is what the proof of the first point, right? Now we will go for the second. In the second one, we want to prove inner product xy is equals to real part of inner product xy plus I times real part of inner product x with iy. Okay, let us start. In the point number B, we want to prove that, shall I write here again so that this will be clear to you. To prove that inner product xy is a real part of inner product xy plus I times real part of inner product x with iy. Okay, this is what we want to prove. But what we know? We know that any complex number inner product xy is written as real part of inner product xy plus I times imaginary part of that number. Correct, no? Imaginary part of the number. But here if you look, we want to prove that the coefficient of I is real part of x of iy, where we know that it is imaginary part of inner product of x with y. Okay, therefore suppose if I am taking any alpha as a complex number, which I will write as suppose some b plus I gamma, beta plus I gamma. This is a complex number. Right? Now we'll try to establish the relation. Okay, what is the imaginary part here? Gamma is the imaginary part of alpha. Okay, but this imaginary part of alpha is nothing but, if I replace this alpha by minus I alpha, what will happen? If I just have a multiplier as minus I to the alpha, then this minus I alpha, what it will be? This is minus I beta, plus I minus I will be minus I square will be plus 1. Therefore, this is, gamma, no? This is gamma. Therefore, what we have observed, now gamma becomes the real part of this number. Therefore, shall I write this gamma, which is initially an imaginary part of alpha, is now real part of minus alpha. Therefore, with this similar relation, here we can write imaginary part of I alpha is real part of minus I alpha. Therefore, what I will do, imaginary part of inner product xy, okay, we will write as real part of minus I inner product x with y. Correct, na? This statement I am using. Imaginary alpha is real minus I alpha. Therefore, this is real. Now, I want to absorb this I in the inner product. But we know that this is I bar, no? Minus I is I bar. And we know bar will be absorbed in the second variable. Therefore, shall I write this as real inner product of x with iy. Therefore, what we have proved? Imaginary inner product x with y is real part of inner product x with iy. Therefore, we will just replace this part. Correct, na? Therefore, inner product xy is a real part of inner product x with y plus I times this imaginary part of xy I will replace by real part of inner product x with iy. Hence, it is the proof of the first example, right? It's easy, na? It's very easy rather. Okay. Now we'll go for the second example. In the second example, what we want to do? We want to prove about the Cauchy sequences. That is, if we have two Cauchy sequences in the inner product space, then their inner product is again a Cauchy sequence. Let me write the example. Let X be an inner product space. Let X be an inner product space. if xn and yn, sequence xn and sequence yn are Cauchy sequence in X, then prove that, what to prove? Sequence inner product xn with yn is Cauchy in K. Is Cauchy in K. K is the underlined field. Why we are writing this as Cauchy in K? Because we know inner product is the function whose resultant is a scalar number always. That may be a real scalar or the complex scalar depending on the selection of the field. Right now? Therefore, let us just prove this part. In order to prove this part, we will just write that how x and y and Cauchy. Okay, that x and y and Cauchy, what it gives us. Here, the sequence xn and yn are Cauchy in X, right? Therefore, shall I write norm of xn minus xm tends to 0 as n tends to infinity. Same logic is true for the second sequence. Yn I want to write now. Yn minus ym. Yn minus ym will also tends to 0. Prove for both mn tends to infinity. Now I will consider to prove that this sequence is a Cauchy sequence. Therefore, what I have to consider again? I have to consider norm value of any 2 points. Okay, and we will show that the difference is tending to 0. But as we are considering with the field K, we know that the norm acting on the field, real field or complex field, is a modulus. Therefore, I will just use the modulus one. Therefore, I will consider modulus inner product xn yn minus inner product xm ym. And what will be the aim to prove? Our aim is to prove that this will tends to 0 as mn tends to infinity. In order to prove the result, we will make a simple adjustment of adding and subtracting an inner product. Okay, which term I am adding and subtracting? X and yn. Okay, the term I am going to add and subtract is inner product xn with ym. I will add inner product xn with ym. xn with ym. Last term inner product xm ym will be as it is. Inner product xm ym will be as it is. Now look very carefully. Look at the first two terms. Okay, if I observe in the first two terms, we can use linearity property in the reverse manner in order to write this as inner product xn with yn minus ym. Right now, just we have used the property in the reverse manner. Okay, what about the second one? Here the second variable is as it is, therefore we will have a subtraction or addition of the first. Therefore this is xn minus xm with ym. Right, now this is an addition in the modulus. Let me use the triangle inequality to separate the modulus. Therefore this is modulus inner product xn with yn minus ym added with modulus inner product xn minus xm with ym. Right now it's a time to use the Schwarz inequality. What Schwarz inequality tells us? Inner product modulus inner product xy is less equal by norm x and norm y. Therefore we will just write this is less equal by norm xn into norm yn minus ym added with, here it is norm xn minus xm into norm of ym. Which property we have used? Schwarz inequality. By Schwarz inequality. What is the inequality? Inner product xy is less equal by norm x into norm of y. Okay, Therefore, we have already seen that norm of xn minus xm will tends to 0. Norm of yn minus ym will also tends to 0. Therefore, norm xn, norm yn are the scalars. Therefore, finally these terms will tends to 0. Therefore, shall I write directly? This term will tends to 0 as mn tends to infinity. As mn tends to infinity. Therefore, what we have proved? That modulus inner product xn yn subtracted with xm ym will tends to 0 as mn tends to infinity. Hence the sequence inner product xn yn is a Cauchy sequence in K. Correct na? To prove this example, you have to just keep in mind this is an adjustment we have made, added and subtracted the same term. Okay, let us go to the next example. Third example, it tells us what is the example. Let X be an inner product space. Let X be an inner product space. Who wants an entry? Swaranjali Kulkarni. And where is the page? X be an inner product space. Okay. If sequence xn and yn are Cauchy sequences in X, then prove that sequence inner product xn yn is a convergent sequence. Just previous example was extended, na? In previous example we have proved that this will be a Cauchy sequence. Now we want to prove that it will be a convergent sequence. But actually this is obviously true, na? Because we are saying that this sequence is Cauchy in K. K is either a real field or a complex field, and we know that these fields are complete field. Therefore, all these Cauchy sequences are going to be convergent. Therefore, shall I write by previous example, sequence inner product xn yn is a Cauchy sequence, in the field K, but K is complete. Therefore, the Cauchy sequence must be convergent. Therefore, shall I write? This implies a sequence inner product xn with yn is a convergent sequence, no doubt, in the field K. Right now? Next, fourth example on this. What the fourth example tells us? Again, if X is an inner product space, sequence xn is a Cauchy sequence, then norm xn is convergent. Let X be an inner product space over K if xn is a Cauchy sequence, xn is a Cauchy sequence in X, then show that sequence norm xn is convergent. Sequence norm xn is convergent. Sequence xn is given to be Cauchy, right? And our aim is to prove that norm xn is convergent. But here may I say it will be sufficient to prove that sequence norm xn is Cauchy. Because if once we prove that it is Cauchy, this will be Cauchy in K over the field K, na? And field K is complete, then it will be automatically convergent. Okay, therefore we will start writing to prove that sequence norm xn is convergent. Sequence norm xn is convergent, and later we will write that it is sufficient to prove. It is sufficient to prove that sequence norm xn is Cauchy in K. Cauchy in K. Right now, reason shall I write here? As K is complete, as K is complete, it will imply norm xn is convergent. Norm xn is convergent. Okay. Therefore, let us go for proving sequence norm xn is Cauchy, and again it is Cauchy in K. On K we know that the norm acting is modulus. Right now. Therefore, let us start. Considering modulus norm of xn minus norm of xm, and what is our aim? Either to prove that this is less than by epsilon as mn tends to infinity, or tends to 0 as mn tends to infinity. Okay, but we have proved one important result in first chapter. What the result we have proved is mod norm x minus norm y is less equal by norm of x minus y. This result we have proved. Now, therefore, let me use this in order to write this is less equal by norm of xn minus xm. But xm we have it is given to be Cauchy na. Therefore, may I write this is tending to 0 as mn tends to infinity. Hence, what we have proved that modulus norm xn minus norm xm tends to 0 as mn tends to infinity. Hence, what does it mean? Sequence norm xn is Cauchy in K. Cauchy in K again, which implies sequence norm xn is convergent in K. Convergent in K. Okay, this is what about the examples. If you are having any doubt about these 4 examples, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll go to the next point of this. Yes, simple examples are there actually proving this regarding the sequence. In the first example, we have seen if both sequences are Cauchy, their inner product is also Cauchy, right? In the second example, we have proved that if the inner product x and yn is Cauchy, then it is convergent. That will be quite but obvious now, because it will be Cauchy in K. K is complete, therefore that should be convergent. In the third example, we have proved that in the last example we have proved that norm xn, if xn is Cauchy, norm xn is convergent. Okay, now we'll go to the next point. Any doubt up to this, students? Yes, is there any doubt on this? Yes or no? Either
No,
you
ma'am.
have to tell me yes or no.
No, ma'am.
No. Okay, good. Now we will go for the next point of the syllabus, that is orthogonal complement. Now orthogonal is the word familiar to us already, na? What is orthogonal means? Yes, anyone? Two vectors are orthogonal. What does it mean? And can anyone tell me the condition for the orthogonality of two vectors? Yes, what is orthogonal? Your answer may go wrong, no problem, but at least you try to answer me.
If two vectors are perpendicular, then they are orthogonal.
Yes, two vectors are perpendicular. It means that this is orthogonal. Perpendicular, orthogonal are the same words. This orthogonal actually is a combination of two words, na? Therefore, this is ortho and gon. And ortho means right, and gonal means angle. Right now? I don't know whether it is Greek or Latin, something a word it is. Okay, I don't know exactly Greek or Latin. But this is the meaning. Ortho means right, gon means angle. The orthogonal means right angle. What is the condition for the two vectors to be perpendicular? Anyone? Does
The
anyone?
dot product is 0.
Yes, the dot product is 0. Suppose I am taking any two vectors x and y in the Rn space, then we are saying that if x dot y is equals to 0, then x and y are perpendicular. X and y are perpendicular. Right now here in this topic we are just extending the same condition. This is the dot product, is the one special kind of product we are using on the Rn spaces, and that dot product we have now generalized to inner product spaces, inner product in the Hilbert spaces. Right now, therefore, what would be a definition? Can you guess what would be a definition of orthogonality in this chapter? Yes, we are just extending the definition. Let H be a Hilbert space, comma, x and y belongs to the vector H, then x and y are said to be orthogonal. X and y are said to be orthogonal if, yes, we are just extending this condition. Now, what I told you in the starting lecture of Hilbert spaces, dot product is generalized to inner product spaces. Therefore, what will be a condition here? Inner product xy is equal to 0. Instead of x dot y is equals to 0, dot product is 0. Now we are writing inner product is 0. Okay. And how it is denoted by? We are familiar with the symbol. This is denoted by x perpendicular y. Right? We are familiar with this symbol, no? Perpendicular symbol. Correct now? Now we will go to understand some properties of the orthogonality. Okay. Can anyone tell me why dot product 0 gives us perpendicularity of the two vectors? Yes. Dot product 0. Why the two vectors are perpendicular?
The cos of 90 is 0. The angle
Yes.
between
Good. Who is speaking?
Rohini Dasini.
Good. Okay, dot product is 0. It means that cosine value is 0. Cos theta will be 0, na? And we know cos theta is 0 only if the angle is 90 degree. Correct, na? That's why it is 0. And the same is being generalized in the Hilbert spaces. Instead of dot product 0, now we are writing here it is inner product is 0. Okay, now we will just see some properties of the orthogonality. Okay, very easy properties we have. Okay, first property is the relation is symmetric. The relation of orthogonality is symmetric. What is the meaning of symmetricity? Whenever I am writing x is orthogonal to y, this implies y is orthogonal to x. Symmetric property we know, na? In case of relations we know symmetricity. A is related to B implies and implied by B is related to A. Right now, let us prove in orthogonality also. Okay. Now what we know? If here I can write a if and only if also. X is orthogonal to y if and only if, according to the definition, inner product x with y is 0. Okay. Now in the next step, actually our aim is to prove y is orthogonal to x. Therefore I just want to take y first, x later. Therefore let me take conjugate on both the sides. Therefore in a conjugate of inner product xy is equal to 0. Conjugate on the right, 0 bar is 0 itself. Therefore there is no change. Therefore what is the conjugate here? Conjugate will be inner product y with x is 0. Right now? Therefore inner product y with x is 0 will give us inner product, y is orthogonal to x. Okay. Now what is the reason here? Taking conjugate. Okay. First property we have proved that the relation is symmetric. Now we will prove that if x is orthogonal to y, then alpha x is also orthogonal to y for any scalar alpha. Correct? Proof is easy, but if first we want to understand this relation, let me show you in the two-dimensional spaces. This is my two-dimensional space, say. Correct na? What about a vector x and y? Suppose this is a vector x and then we are saying y is orthogonal na, therefore somewhere here may be the position of y. Correct na? Somewhere here will be the position of, this is x axis, this is y axis, and this is the position of my vector x. X is orthogonal to y. This may be a position. There is a right angle between the two vectors. What this alpha x orthogonal to y means? Where will be a location of alpha x vectors? Can anyone tell me where will be a location of alpha x vectors? कुठे असतील alpha x? For different values of alpha, where will be the location of alpha x? No doubt this alpha x will be, for alpha positive, it will be on the line extended forward. Correct na? And for alpha negatives, it will be on the line extended backward. Now look at this line. What is alpha x line? This will be a whole line containing the vector x itself. But still the vector y is perpendicular to the whole line alpha x. Therefore this is actually geometrically this is obviously true. Now let us prove it mathematically. Correct na? Therefore this is considering alpha x with y, and our aim is to prove that this is equal to 0. Let me use linearity in first variable, taking a scalar common, not common, out of the inner product. This is alpha inner product x with y. Okay, but as x is orthogonal to y, what about the inner product x with y? 0. Therefore this is also 0. Therefore what we have proved? Alpha x is orthogonal to y. This is the second property. Now let us go for the third property. In the third property we want to show that vector 0 is always orthogonal to x. Vector 0 is orthogonal to x. Proving it is not difficult, since inner product 0 and x, what is the value? 0. Now we have seen this already. Actually this is equal to inner product x with 0. In the inner product, in a pair of the inner product, if any one vector is 0, the inner product is 0, that we have seen. Therefore one can say that 0 is always orthogonal to x. Correct na? See, this is the position in R2. I can show very easily. Somewhere here it is x, this is 0, then this 0 and x are said to be orthogonal to each other. Number 4, if x is orthogonal to x, then x is 0. That is, 0 is the only vector which is orthogonal to itself. No other vector can be orthogonal to itself. Na? Therefore, let me consider x is orthogonal to x. What does this imply? Inner product x with x is 0. Inner product x with x is giving me norm square of x is equals to 0, which is actually norm x is equal to 0, proving x is equal to 0. Right now? Therefore, 0 is the only vector which is orthogonal to itself. These are the 4 properties depending on the orthogonality of the two vectors in the Hilbert spaces. Replacing dot product by inner product, we have just carried out the definition. Correct na? Now if you have understood those properties, let us go to an important theorem which we have studied in our high school also. What the theorem is? Pythagorean. What is Pythagorean theorem? Anyone? Now our aim is to write this Pythagorean theorem in the Hilbert spaces. How should I write? First we should know what is Pythagoras theorem. Yes, anyone from the student, what is Pythagoras theorem? आहेत का सगळे? Yes students, Pythagoras theorem काय आहे?
The square of the hypotenuse is equal to square of the sides of the angle.
Right.
Triangle.
Right. Square of hypotenuse is equals to sum of squares of the sides of a triangle. Na? Means like this. Correct na? So the right angled triangle. Correct. If a right angled triangle, let me name this as A, B and C. Then what the theorem says that? हाँ, BC square is equal to
AC square plus AB square.
correct, BC square plus AB square. Now what is the aim in today's Pythagorean theorem? We want to write it in the Hilbert spaces, correct na? That is in general for the vectors, symbol vectors, right? Therefore let me just write this x and y are the two vectors. Okay, whenever we are writing ACBC here, what we are meaning actually, whenever I am writing say AB, what this AB gives me, the length between the two vertices A and B, na? Okay, therefore here if we have the vectors say x and y, but if I write x square only, will it mean that it will be a length of a vector? Okay, getting my question or not? Suppose I have written directly x square plus y square here, will it be true? X, whether this x is a length of a vector? No, it is not the length of a vector. This is a vector representing, right? Now if I want to find out the length of a vector, what should I write? Here I'll write vector x, here I'll write vector y. Then what will be a length of a vector? As we are in the Hilbert spaces using norm as a length of measuring function, therefore I should write norm x, right now? Okay. Then what about this hypotenuse position? If these are the two vectors x and y, what is this location? X minus y, na? And what about its norm? Norm. What about its length? Norm x minus y. Okay. In the reverse way, in another way, I can show you this as, suppose this is vector x, this is vector y. Where will be a location of x plus y? Somewhere here, na? This is a vector x plus y. What about their length? Here it is norm y, here it is norm x, and here it is norm of x plus y. What about this length? These two are same, na? Therefore here also we will have a length as norm of y. Therefore the Pythagorean theorem in the Hilbert spaces, we can write it with the two types. Okay, once considering the length of hypotenuse as norm x plus y, once considering the length of hypotenuse as norm x minus y. Okay, I hope you have understood. Let me write the statement. The statement is, if x and y are any two vectors, orthogonal vectors, I'll write any two orthogonal vectors in a Hilbert space H, then prove that. What to prove? Norm square of x plus y equal to norm square of x minus y is equal to this will be these are the squares of your hypotenuse is equal to sum of squares of these sides. Therefore norm square of x plus norm square of y. Okay, let us prove this. Proving this is very easy. Here it is given that x is and y are orthogonal, which implies that inner product x with y is 0. Let us prove. Let us consider. What should I consider? First let me consider norm square of x plus y. Okay, which is actually inner product x plus y with inner product x plus y. Okay, now I will write directly. This is inner product xx plus inner product x with y plus inner product y with x plus inner product y with y. Which two properties we have used? Linearity in first variable, conjugate linearity in second variable, right? Now what is the value of middle two terms? As inner product as x is orthogonal to y, inner product x with y is 0, inner product y with x is also 0, therefore middle two terms are 0, therefore we left with inner product xx, which is actually norm square of x, norm square of y. Okay, and what about second one? Norm square of x minus y. This is inner product x minus y with inner product with x minus y. What is the value? Inner product xx minus inner product x with y minus inner product y with x plus inner product y with y. Again this middle two terms are 0, we left with norm square of x plus norm square of y. Hence we have proved that norm square of x plus y equal to norm square of x minus y is equal to norm square of x plus norm square of y. Okay, this is what the proof of an important section of Pythagoras theorem. Any difficulty up to this? You are having a next lecture, therefore let me stop here. Yes, any difficulty till this? Thank you for watching today's lecture then.